Um, Ladies and gentlemen, good day to everybody and welcome to the Future of Urban Agriculture Education and Science session today at the Democracy Festival Lampa. And this talk will also turn into a Nordic Talks podcast. So the content will be traveling further than just today right now. And we also have some of the participants to this webinar online. Today's session is part of a bigger project that is funded by Nordic Council of Ministers and run together with Nordregio. And this project focuses on the future of urban agriculture. And besides this knowledge and experience sharing, we will also produce case studies. What are the new and interesting cases of urban agriculture in Nordic and Baltic region? So stay tuned. And I'm very happy to invite today our distinguished panelists. And the first panelist will switch on online remotely. And let me just quickly introduce Trine. Trine is currently leading the National Center for Urban Agriculture. Hello, Trine. At the Norwegian University of Life Sciences and is a member of the Norwegian Biotechnology Advisory Board. Since 2013, she also got interested into the field of urban agriculture, making use of her horticultural background and delving into the whole circular economy of recycling resources and producing food and ornamentals in urban area. Trine, the floor is yours. Excuse me, Trine, we don't hear you, so please give 2 minutes to, well, seconds.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, now we hear you, so please.
Can you hear me now? Is my screen on share?
We just currently see you. We don't see the screen. I think you have to share the slides yourself.
Yes, I thought I did, but I was, let me see. Yeah. Yes, share screen. I will do that. And here. There we go.
We see, yeah, everything we see. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'm going to talk about implementing circular urban agriculture in a Master of Science program at our university, the Norwegian University of Life Sciences in Ås in Norway. And I would like you to think about what implications this can have for a near zero emission society in the future. And I'm Professor Trine Voslöf-Eide, as introduced. We, in the European project, we had a sustainable city vision where we looked at all the resources in the city in a circular way. Instead of polluting air, water, and nature, we would like to reuse all resources. This is a way of picturing it with the flats, with the vacuum toilets, and where the black water goes into a biogas reactor, where we can use this for nutrients or growth media, and we produce biogas, which can produce electricity or heat or CO2, and then we can grow food and feed the food back to the inhabitants of the flats, and that's how we can get recycling. This is been shown in the Campus Ås campsite showcase, and here we have 48 students with vacuum toilets, and the biogas reactor is in here. We have a bubble greenhouse where we grow, here you see we grow tomatoes, and the bubbles insulate the greenhouse from the cold and heat in the summer. And we grow tomatoes, lettuce, and cucumbers in various composts to have an alternative to peat. This is peat, and these are alternatives. And we also do nutrient experiments from the black water compared to mineral nutrients, sorry. And this CU Green project, which ended up this year, we have taken the opportunity to build a master in urban agriculture, derived from CU Green and financed through the Directorate of Quality and Internationalization in Higher Education in Norway. And we use a very wide definition of urban agriculture. We say it's interaction between plants for food production and circularity of nutrients, soil, water, energy in the context of urban planning. And it's really a novel use of plants in urban areas where we grow fruits, berries, and vegetables in parks and backyards and balconies, under the rooftops and wherever. And we know that plants improve the physical and psychological well-being, and it contributes to improved public health because of food and activity. It reduces noise, dust, and reduces temperature of inner cities, and it improves the biodiversity in urban areas. And it also increased flood prevention through water retention, and it contributes to food security and preparedness of the population. So the overall principles in our master program is laid out from the strategic plan that says that NWU students shall be equipped with a mindset of sustainability and knowledge and the competence and skills necessary to embrace the large global societal challenges. And it will also contribute to a large degree towards further development of the university's long-term strategic goals on education and teaching methods. So we are trying to kill two birds in one stone. And we provide the new master students of urban agriculture with the ability to act sustainability. It's sustainability. The structure and organization of this master program is quite new. It's all of the 7 faculties and NMU share this master program. It has a home in the Faculty of Biosciences, where I come from, but all take responsibility, and the students can take courses and master thesis in all the faculties. The Learning Center is involved because we have taken upon us to have student active learning methods and flipped classrooms. And we have an external partner, Pådriv, who provides real life cases for the students. So the students aren't given exercises just to do an exercise. They are given assignments with real life cases. And the most exciting thing, possibly, is that any bachelor program can qualify for admission. I'll come back to that. So if you have a degree in arts, you can still join the Master of Urban Agriculture. What we need to have is a motivation letter and interviews to select the students. And we try to get a diverse student group as possible with the 20 places that we have each year. And the background of the students is typically, we have had 2 admissions so far. They come from agriculture, finance, biology, sociology, teachers, nurses, geographers, artists, business administration, law, nature conservation, landscape engineering, and more. And we form transdisciplinary teams as diverse as possible. And I think I need to explain what a transdisciplinary team is. We have students as diverse as possible in a group, and they interact with a case provider that has a particular case they would like to have the students to shed light on or come up with possible solutions. And that is going beyond the university. So it's transdisciplinary. It's not only multidisciplinary within the university, but also outside the university. And then they have presentations for the case owners and report that is evaluated. So they have to work in groups. This is in Norwegian, but I'm using this just to show you that the first cases that we had, Obos is Oslo's largest property developer. Ureist is a private enterprise, and Obos wanted to look at what can urban agriculture contribute in a new property development. And Ureist looked at what kind of technical solutions and way of running would be needed to apply urban agriculture in an existing urban setting. And this is a Strake church where they wanted to have a community garden and how that could be arranged and challenged on the short and long term. And the next one is Kuben. It's a high school and the recycling company that were close to each other, and I wanted to see how can increased interactions between the school and the recycling company lead to more urban agriculture. And then there was the network organization Pådriv in Stavanger, who looked at how can urban agriculture be a part of sustainable development of the city and increased consciousness on self-sufficiency with food. And we had another group that looked at the property development in Trondheim, in the middle of Norway, where they looked at, they were challenged to come up with how to provide urban agriculture in this new development, but they increased it or widened it to also include circular solutions on energy, water, and nutrients in a future near zero vision, very much in line with the CU Green principles. And I also wanted to share with you how they, in the spring semester, they work on strategic planning and action plans for municipalities. And this is an example from a municipality close to us, where moments to consider for a strategic plan and action plan for urban agriculture in order to follow, which is the name of the community. And the students learn how to go about making strategic plans and action plans by actually doing it for a community that is interested. So Nordre Follo has said, how can a municipality use urban agriculture to reach their ambitions and set goals in relation to social sustainability and biodiversity? And this group decided to focus on an area called Hebek as a case. And what they had to do is to look at all the plans that this community had. The municipality has plans for what they would like for the future. They looked at Oslo's strategic plan for urban agriculture, and they looked at other plans for biodiversity. And they also take into account the national strategic plan for urban agriculture in Norway and the sustainable development goals of the UN. And all this is taken into consideration. And here you see the community. This is Oslo, so it borders to Oslo. It has a common border and has active agriculture. And what they came up with was that this area here is called Hebek. They could have a school garden in one end because there's a school here. And then in the middle, they could have a community garden with allotments or common growing of food. And here they could have a food forest and the recreation area and the playground here where there are trees and more hilly.
Trine,
so
thank you so much, but I think you're out of time a little bit. So, but
okay, sorry.
Yeah, so if you just can really wrap up, so.
Wrap up, because these students, they learn a lot of other skills in addition to the urban agriculture and the circularity. They learn attitudes toward each other, ability to create fruitful collaboration, learning about environment, then learn patience to develop a common language between all the different disciplines, and they learn to tolerate and exploit uncertainty, and they have given their self-reflections on this and say they learn a lot from this. So thank you very much for listening. I'd like to acknowledge my fellow teachers, the Action Learning Sigrid Gjerterud, and the students from 21 and 22. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Trine. It was really exciting to listen to that, that there's a first, I think it's the first in the world, the Urban Agriculture Master Program, or at least that transdisciplinary. And you also nicely sketched how the work with municipality happens. So it's very logical that our next keynote speaker is Donatella. Donatella is a project manager working in the field of sustainability, circular water solutions and food systems. And she has been working at the Water Center for Innovation Campus Roslagen since 2017 and is involved in regional and international projects, as well as has supported different kinds of capacity building activities and multi-stakeholder involvement process. So multi-stakeholder, transdisciplinary, I look forward to your presentation.
Okay, thank you very much, Maya. Good morning, everyone. It's really great to be here in this event. So let me start with a question. If you think of the future, so if you think of 2050, how do you think we are going to grow our food? This is one of the questions that we are asking ourselves at Campus Roslagen. Campus is a municipal company in Norrtälje. We are there in the northern part of the Stockholm County. It is the innovation hub of our municipality, and Campus works with education, innovation projects, especially related with the environment, and it has also an incubator. We all know, we spoke also yesterday at the webinars yesterday, that the food sector has to face important environmental and social challenges. Just to mention some of them, we know that the world population is going to be about 9 billion people by 2050, 70% of which will live in cities. We are already seeing nowadays that agriculture is a sector that is particularly affected by climate change. And also in the latest years, the recent events such as the pandemics first and then the war have exposed the need for more self-sufficient food systems. So we are trying to give our small contribution to face these challenges, and by participating in innovation projects that are both national and international, European funded projects. And we adopt the multi-stakeholders approach, and transdisciplinary. These projects are transdisciplinary, as said before. A method that, regarding urban agriculture, that we are working with is aquaponics, and this is a method that can supplement traditional agriculture. Aquaponics is the combination of aquaculture, that means farming aquatic animals, and hydroponics, which means growing plants in water. This is a circular system, so with no emissions into the environment. And in this system, the fish and the plants are grown in symbiosis. And actually, the symbiosis is among fish, plants, and bacteria. So in this system, the wastewater from the fish becomes nutrients from the plants. The plants continue cleaning the water, and then the clean water goes back to the fish in a circular manner. And also in this system, there is no use of antibiotics nor pesticides, because it's not possible to use them. So the produce of aquaponics are completely healthy. We have 2 ongoing projects about aquaponics, and under different perspectives, they're looking at the system also as a social innovation, not only as a technological innovation. And they are treating the topic of what are the needs of new skills. So in particular, Tango V, that is a JPI urban project, is looking at what are the skills needed in municipalities to do the transition into a circular economy, while Transfarm, that is a Central Baltic project, is much more technical, but will also produce education material that will be tailored on the needs of the entrepreneurs and farmers. And, okay, yeah. Also to mention that we have created vocational education. This is the first one in Sweden of this land. It is a 2 years professional education as aquaponics specialist. This is after high school level. And yesterday in the webinars, we have spoken about all the positive aspects of aquaponics. But I would like also to highlight that in all indoor farming methods, they do not require the same physical effort required by traditional agriculture. So they give also the possibility to have more inclusivity in this sector. And I thank you all for the attention.
Thank you so much, Donatella. So we just heard another first kind of educational program, and this time on aquaponics. Amazing. So lots of new programs out there. Let's listen to Latvian experience, to Liga. Liga has 30 years of experience in the horticultural research, and in addition to the research on vegetable cultivation technologies, Liga is also responsible for horticultural genetic resources. In the context of this topic, Liga has been working with various NGOs specializing in home gardening as well as seed breeding. And Liga is running several international and national research projects, and we will hear more about her work. And I think this word horticultural is the English version for Latvian šaursliežu dzelzceļš. So bear with me, it's not so easy to pronounce it.
Hello, nice to meet you. And yeah, I'm going to tell you shortly about the history, probably, and background of Latvians in horticulture. Yeah, I would say that horticulture or gardening is a part of Latvian lifestyle. You see that yeah, Latvians actually are, I could say, we are spoiled with different kind of crops which we are growing for centuries. And not only by the kind of crops, but also by varieties, for particular varieties. So it means that we are very demanding on good taste or other qualities. So not always we are happy with the kind of vegetables which we can buy in supermarkets. It means that almost each family has garden in countryside to grow vegetables, and grandmother or mother is growing vegetables for the family. So we are consuming, I would say, a lot homegrown vegetables. So, but what to do if you are moving to city or town? So it means that Latvians are moving together with their knowledge, I would say, which is already in the DNA of each Latvian, how to grow vegetables. So we think that almost everybody knows how to do it. And this is a problem because quite often we have to show from the other angle that we can do it in diverse way, as it was done by mother or grandmother. But still, we can use the knowledge which was gathered by our grandmothers and mothers. And it means that in urban gardening, people also are trying somehow to move their knowledge and to adapt it in order to gain what they want. It means fresh, self-grown and healthy food. And also people are relaxing in the gardens. It can be allotment garden or hobby garden in the private property or even rooftop garden. But we have joked that every Latvian in the spring needs to put their hands in the earth and to feel the energy of earth in the springtime. And you know that there are hormones of happiness in the soil in the springtime. So we are catching them. And so also communication between the gardeners is quite often taking place in different groups. Also in Facebook, we have several groups discussing on gardening. So it's kind of community also. And this is also somehow transferring knowledge from generations. And also in schools and in kindergartens, we have gardens, and a very good example is Ikschilis free school, where they are growing vegetables in the school for the kitchen garden by themselves. And of course we have those hobby and kitchen gardens in private, on the private land, on also allotment gardens. And also we have some examples of community gardens in Sigulda. We have a community garden. Actually, I don't know, is it still existing in this year, but it was, I know. And also we are developing roof gardens. So, and if we are looking on the perspectives, so it means that with the demanding of a Green Deal and all those policy regulations, and also just our attitude to the changing climate, people are more and more facing to circular economy and green lifestyle, and of course sustainable usage of resources. And it means that they can continue in the way which they are already growing their plants, or they can introduce new types of growing. And we as a scientist, we see the hydroponic and vertical farming and warehouse indoor farms as a future for Latvian horticulture. And we are now at the stage when we are implementing the first urban project in Latvia, where we are investigating the influence of different substrates on the quality of vegetables. And one of myth, which was yesterday told, that it is that in the city you cannot grow enough high quality vegetables. So we are going to test chemical composition of vegetables similarly grown in countryside and in Riga. So we hope that we will prove that they are healthy and good for health. And yeah, so, and we are also going to share our knowledge, and we are implementing this project together, our Institute of Horticulture with Institute of Agroeconomy. Yes, and I hope that we will come with new ideas, and our results we will present to our society. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Liga, for sketching Latvian DNA, and also referring to yesterday. So yesterday we had already 2 webinars on the topic, and one of the themes was also these urban myths. So how can we actually grow food in the cities, also by changing our mindset. But we will talk more about it during the discussion. But now let me give floor to Kiosti, who works as a special advisor at Nordforsk, a cooperation platform for Nordic and Baltic research councils. And Kiosti handles research programs, sustainable urban development and smart cities, and sustainable agriculture and climate change. And Kiosti has a PhD in animal ecology from the University of Turku. So Kiosti, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Maya. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here again in Lampa. I have enjoyed to participate in these events. Also, I'd like to thank Maya and Lucian to invite me to have this talk about agriculture and urban development. I'm responsible for those 2 programs, and I started to think about what on earth there is a common in those 2 themes. And I start with almost like an anecdote, but it's not an anecdote. Let us see. Yeah, sorry. It's this 29,086 measures barley, 37 months Kushim. And that's a lot. That's actually the first known text in this world. And it's coming from the oldest city in the world, Uruk, and indicating that, first of all, agriculture is a necessary condition for the urban settlements. And also that agriculture brought about skills to write and skills to account. So Kushim is not a king, not a writer, but a bureaucrat, as I am. Then another thing is that in very recent years, we have experienced crises, very severe crises, COVID epidemic, and then war in Ukraine, which have really changed our world and how we think about it. One concrete example is to how we get food and what are the supply chains, how sensitive they are. And here comes the question how we can secure them. Security is the key question also here. How to secure the food supply. And here we have my private thinking is that we need kind of more local and regional production. We need more circular economy so that the resources we are using, we are reusing them more and not just bringing in them. And as we have seen in the previous presentations, this is really an important element of the sustainable urban agriculture. And both old and new methods should be taken into account and considered. And here comes my expertise in place, in play, how to consider them systematically. And answer is, of course, the scientific research. And here I try to explain how to build a research program which takes into account what I have said earlier and also what the others have said earlier today in their presentations and also in the webinars of yesterday. Yeah. There we have urban system as an ecosystem. Let's start from that point of view. And if we think about the agriculture, it's for production of food. That's maybe the primary function of urban agriculture. But not only. And then there are open questions like how much we can produce. What is the kind of realistic share of our daily food intake which we can produce in the urban environments? And here we need not only the technical solutions, but also somebody who knows about resource economy. What is possible? The second thing is the environmental benefits. Green environments are not only source for food, but they are multifunctional servants of ecosystem, and they provide better air quality by increased biodiversity. They are used in the water protection and noise management as well. Then we need somebody who knows about the health issue and how much population health can be improved using the green elements in the city and how much these green elements can be of agriculture and how much just for decorative things. And inclusiveness, how we can get all the inhabitants, all the citizens really, citizens of the city join this urban agriculture enterprises, whether they are communal or private ones. And here again, we have heard today and yesterday in the webinars very good examples of these from Latvia, from Norway, and from Finland. And I think the last thing we don't talk enough, I think it's a self-esteem. I don't know how to categorize or which category it belongs to, but to work with the plants, it's like a tree hugging, but it's at smaller scale. When you saw something and the plant grows and you see it growing and you know that you have contributed that growth too. So this what I told you was a kind of general framework. Now there are much what constraints. It's about history. So different histories, cities with different histories have different possibilities to use urban agriculture. Latitude, of course. Here in Latvia, you can produce much more than in Finland. If you have a rainy Norway, then the productivity is higher than in Finland, where the less rain. And size of the city is important. A metropole has a much less possibilities than the small size cities, which have a larger perimeter per inhabitant. And also the structure of the cities. The city planners can decide what type of city or what size of city, how much that city includes green areas, which are potential areas for the urban agriculture. And then it's knowledge needs. And now we start to write the research program, the kind of research questions. First of all, we need somebody who understands urban and regional planning. How to take into account those constraints I described in that research program. Then food security. Coming back to my first question, how much we can produce locally so that it's, first of all, sustainable, and in a sense it has a real contribution to the food supply. And then what is the role of the modern technologies? Can we increase the production?
Kioski, I think we need to wrap up.
Okay, then shortly I wrap up through this administration thing. It's about, we have talked about the urban structures. We should also think about who is responsible for governing urban agriculture. Is it the community only? Are there companies? Or is it kind of individual persons who take care of themselves and their families? This is maybe the most important thing when we try to solve the security problem. And here I still have two, wait a moment. No, we have two technical solutions from Nurfor's programs. One is Musa, which is focused on the mushroom growth, and the other is Nordaqua Center of Excellence. As one solution, they have produced a bioreactor which uses greenhouse waters to grow microalgae, and it's close to the aquaponics system what was described earlier. This is, I think, everything.
Yes. Thank you so much, and thanks for this very historical or even philosophical kind of start of your presentation. And thanks to those who are also sending in their questions online, and please be prepared also to ask some of the questions. There will be a chance. Christine will give you the cube. She will not throw it at you, but you will just be able to get it and ask the question. But now, listening to all of your presentations, and I hope we can get Trine back on screen, as this question relates to all of you. You presented these new types of collaboration. So the question is this the knowledge that we lack and research, or this is capacity to collaborate? Maybe, Donatello, we can start with you. What's your opinion?
I think it's important to bring together different type of actors. So from the academia, from the entrepreneur world, municipality, and continue with this dialogue, continue with these partnerships, and we can learn together and we can find together new solutions.
So there is no more just knowledge creation somewhere in some kind of remote tower, but the knowledge is created in partnerships. That's what you think?
Both ways. I mean, it's important also to transmit the knowledge from one sector to the other.
Thanks. And if we have Trine, maybe she could also answer, or if not, then we are waiting.
I'd love to answer that.
Yeah.
Or shed some light on it. I think my students, they have reminded us that the sustainability goal number 17, partnership to reach the goals, is the most important goal of all. Because unless we have partnerships, we cannot solve the wicked problems that are too complex for one discipline alone. So I think that the interdisciplinarity and the interactions between the research and educators with private and public enterprises is really important.
Thank you. And I think, Yossi, would you also like to answer how can interdisciplinary collaboration bridge the gap between this theoretical education and practical implementation in futuristic urban agriculture? So from history to future.
Yeah. I think Trine gave us an answer using the expression transdisciplinarity, so that all the sectors are involved, not only the research but also innovation and those practitioners. But then we should also remember that we should somehow be able to scale our solutions. Sometimes we need a big scale. If we are in the metropoles, we need a lots of units and a bit different type of system. Then we have small municipalities here in the middle of the countryside. There the solutions are maybe a bit different.
Thank you. And to you, Liga, you sketched this very kind of poetic scenery of Latvians living close to the garden. But my question, how can we ensure equitable access to this education and ability to work in the garden? How can it be created for everybody? Because this idealistic scene is something which is maybe not always true also in our society. So how to make it accessible and equitable?
I think that we have a lot of different courses and lectures which people can attend. Also, we have education, garden, horticultural education, quite well developed in Latvia. So if somebody wants to get the knowledge, so it's possible. Just the first thing should be the willingness to get the knowledge, and if there is willingness, then it's for sure it's possible to get it. Just to have to look in, at least in Facebook, there are several courses offered each year. So yeah, it's easy. Maybe they are not particularly on urban agriculture or horticulture, but they are for horticulture, and then you can adapt. But also we have some courses which can be quite closely related also to urban farming.
Yeah, and also yesterday we had webinars about these public spaces where everybody can go and grow things, and that's usually related to youth work and open space areas in the cities. Great. Do we have any question in the audience? You can just raise the hand and you have the chance to ask. While you're getting ready for that, let me read the questions. And the question, one of the questions, and thank you for writing, and please keep writing in your webinar questions. But it's very similar to what was yesterday. About this urban myth that do you experience that people are skeptical to food grown in cities because they think that it's polluted? When you, in your work, do you feel this skepticism when you develop new projects, for example, Donatella?
I don't think so, because actually in Sweden there is a system called RIECO. Basically, it's a system that brings together farmers and citizens, and it shortens the chains, and it puts into communication farmers and consumers, and they know when they can pick up their food, the vegetables, and so on. So I think there is lots of enthusiasm and willingness.
But then there are also farmers who grow food in the cities. And then there is this direct communication. So we need not only shorter supply chains, but also shorter communication chains in a way to grow this trust and fight those myths that are out there. And thanks to Liga's work, then you will test, you will have in a couple of months or a year, you can get total proof what is polluted and what is not polluted. So you will compare the city, and then I hope you will talk loudly about it so that people know. And one more online question, and I hope meanwhile you prepare your own questions, is then the question, about those who sell the food. Should the urban agriculture, in whatever premises they have, should it be mandatory? So, for example, if you sell food, but instead, if you can actually grow that food, like these green leaves, salad, let's say strawberries, then you must actually try growing before you just are selling. So should there be such kind of new regulation? Kiosti, maybe in your research projects, I know you also analyze lots of these different economic systems, and should there be change in regulation towards something more mandatory?
Maybe the first thing is to map the regulations. What we have learned that actually the different countries have a different type of regulations. Even the cities itself, maybe there are differences between the cities, and then map what is actually possible. And maybe only after that, then we can say, that, okay, if there are regulations, how we can change them so that it makes possible or it supports urban agriculture.
So maybe a new index like urban agriculture city index that would probably map the regulation or the opportunities. You are the experts who could make this index actually. Trine, what do you think? I think you consider that your city is number one. But yeah, so what do you think about mapping and indexing?
Well, I think that there's it might be a problem of I'm not quite sure whether I understood the question correctly, but if I understood it as that those who sell food should also grow their food and grow food and know how to do it. I think that is possibly to make that mandatory is going too far. I think the suggestion of actually making a map of all the regulations is very important, because if you as a lay person start producing food and start selling it, you need to know all the regulations that are in place, and that could be very difficult to find. So helping the urban farmer to find their way through the regulation jungle is possibly a very important thing. I could give an example. In Norway, you are not allowed to compost your food waste and then grow food and sell it. You are allowed to compost your food waste if you use the food yourself. Otherwise, there are lots of regulations on how to compost and what temperature it should be at, and all this and that and the other, in order to make it safe for the public. And most people wouldn't know that, for instance.
Thank you. It's also a very good quote that you said, that we have to somehow orientate better in this regulation jungle, or jungle of regulation. Great. So do we have, we have a question from the audience, please. And we hear some background noise, but yeah, please.
Yeah, I think so. Hi, thank you. I believe my question goes well with the previous question. In Riga, we have currently an initiative to develop one united food strategy for the city. And my question is, do you consider that the urban gardening should be included in the strategy on the municipality level, or maybe on the governmental level? And what are the aspects you believe should be included in it? Thank you.
Maybe Donatella, you can start.
Well, I can think of in Sweden we have a food strategy, and it has the aim is to make the country more self-sufficient, and it has three main pillars, which are regulation, then innovation, and then education. So I would say, also considering what we heard yesterday and saw yesterday, I mean, why not having this urban gardening, which are also places that bring people together, bring also ideas and innovation together. So we can see the urban gardening maybe it's not really at the front end of the, if we think of food security, but it's a way to reach it. It gives lots of benefits, and it can be a way.
Yeah, so I think it's a nice answer to your question. So if the vision of the city is self-sufficiency or increasing self-sufficiency, then it definitely should be part of, right? Because it's a mechanism or instrument how to. Wonderful. Thank you for a very good question. Any more questions?
Could I comment on that question?
Oh, absolutely. Please, Trine.
Thank you. Because I think it's absolutely vital that urban agriculture and the what you say, the conventional traditional agriculture and horticulture are brought together, and the gap between them is bridged, because there is so much knowledge in the conventional way of doing things that we need to take up in the urban agriculture. And also, urban agriculture is not only the hobby grower, it's certainly also the professional growers. The biggest greenhouse on the rooftop is in Montreal in Canada, and it's 15,000 square meters. So urban farming on a large scale is really contributing to the food supply. And I think it will increase to do so in the future, as mentioned, because we will be more people on the planet. We will be about 70% of the world population will live in cities and urban areas in 2050. And we are not expanding on our agricultural land, so we need to use the available land in the cities. So certainly, yes, with an exclamation mark, that urban agriculture should be included in the strategy.
Thank you. Kiosti, you also? Yes, please, you can comment.
Yes, just an idea that as we have, at least in Finland and Norway, city planning rule that each neighborhood should have a kind of minimum percentage of the green area. So why don't include that, okay, minimum percentage of green area of which certain share is allocated to urban agriculture?
Yes, Liga, please, yeah.
And if you are talking about Riga, strategical planning, so you have two institutes, you can ask us and we can give you advice. It's Institute of Horticulture and Agroeconomic, so you are welcome to discuss with us.
Wonderful. The Democracy Festival where the new strategy is born or developed. Beautiful. We have one more incoming question from online. What about indoor vertical farming? Is that something that seems to work? And we actually had really great webinar yesterday, and will be also published online, so you will be able to follow. It seems to be working. So we had examples from, it's not just rooftops, it's also staircases. And please, if you remember or can comment from yesterday, what seems to work? Donatella?
Yeah, it's working, definitely. And what was important from yesterday was the next step could be to produce more caloric food in indoor systems.
So that now we can grow salad, that's great, but how can we grow more calorie-rich and more dense food? Yeah. Liga, you also?
Yeah, I think actually it's very easy. You can grow runner beans, so they will provide you with protein. It's very easy. Just you have to look for proper crops, and it's possible.
So the short answer, it is possible. This is very optimistic and very good. And let's end our talk with answer to a question to each of you panelists. What is your call for action? What should be done today, in a month, in a year, to get this urban agriculture into the future that we want to see? And let's start with you, Kiosti.
Established a research program which is really transdisciplinary, that all the actors are together from the very beginning, outlining the proposals and making plans how to implement it.
Thanks, Liga.
I think, we already touched it. It should be included in strategies of cities or towns. And I think also it should be included in the programs, educational programs in kindergartens and in schools. Because it will give the understanding for kids where from comes the food. I believe some of them don't know. It's the beginning. These are the first steps, and then slowly it will develop. And of course, we have to continue research on proper technologies and high tech, low tech, different.
Thank you. Donatella?
Yeah, I agree with what was said, and I add also we continue mapping the unused resources that are in cities. Yesterday we spoke a lot about space and the competition for space, but there are lots of resources that can be better exploited, such as waste heat or other types of waste in order to implement circular economy and can go into an urban farming.
So we can map all the heat waste, and then that's just a map of urban gardening, probably. Right. Thank you, Donatella. Trine, what's your call for action? What should be done today, in a month, in a year?
I think that the others have given very good answers too. I have written down that we should engage municipalities, regional authorities, and private companies on acting upon the Sustainable Development Goals, where urban agriculture can make a substantial contribution to almost all of them. And particularly in number 17, partnerships to reach the goals. And I think that by educating the young, we enable an army of entrepreneurs who have a holistic viewpoint and an ability to act upon wicked problems for a more sustainable future.
Thank you.
So I think this is, I didn't want to divide it between today and a month and a year. I think this is something that should continue all the time.
Wonderful. Thank you. With this, I would like to thank all of you for participation. Please follow our Future of Urban Agriculture project. There will be more information about that at the Nordic Council of Ministers office in Latvia homepage, and there is already, you can find in the Nordregio's homepage. And we hope to keep you updated how the things are going. So have a good festival, and thank you for listening, everybody. Thank you.